talked a little bit about in the last segment about what the concept is of insurance. But let's talk about some people that are really helped by insurance.
Okay. First of all, we have people that have, so homeowners insurance. A lot of people don't understand that, let's say you have a house for $300,000 and it burns down. Do you have guaranteed replacement cost, or do you just have $300,000 and that's it? How do you really exactly know how much it costs to replace your home?
Of course you don't, right?
Right, you don't. So there is a coverage that some companies have called guaranteed replacement cost, and even if your house costs $500,000 to rebuild, the company will pay for that.
There's a commercial out there that talks about about just what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, they have these things out there. Of course, they cost more, right? Because don't they?
No, not really. Again, remember, we don't like to talk about cost. Really, your agent should be giving you options. You should be given bare bones and then options, and you decide. And they should be explaining to you what can happen.
Well, that makes sense, right? That you should be able to figure out which way you want to go and how much, because it's really about risk, right? Isn't it? So it's if I want to pay less, I'm going to have more risk. If I want to pay a little bit more, I have probably a lot less risk for a little bit more, right?
Or sometimes you're just paying more because that insurance company wants to, they go up and down all the time. Sometimes they don't like to insure frame homes, so they're going to jack up the price. It depends sometimes on where you live, that kind of thing. So you really want to, and a lot of people don't know this also, there are two types of insurance agencies. There's a direct writer, which means they only have one insurance company, and there's an independent agent, which represents many insurance companies.
And where do you fall?
We are an independent agent, so we represent many insurance companies.
So you can offer many more products to your customers.
Yes, and we can shop it if you don't like that company for some reason, maybe because of the name, or you don't like their billing system. But, yes, we are able to shop your insurance.
Well, that's a big bonus, I think, because
yes,
then
it
you
is.
can I'm not just pushing one brand and I'm kind of stuck with what I have.
Right. And I tell people, if you don't know if you have a direct writer company or independent, ask your agent the next time, how many companies did they shop your insurance with?
That's a good tip. It's a very good tip. So tell us a little bit about someone that maybe has had insurance and that recently that you've helped.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a plastic surgeon. They have an office in Northfield, and somebody with their truck drove through, thought they were on the brake, but they were on the pedal, and drove right through the window.
I hate it when that happens.
Is that right?
And they went right through the office. Thank heaven the person just happened to walk out there. So what happened was they did not have enough coverage on their auto insurance to pay for it. So my client was able to use their own insurance to pay for it, and then her insurance company is going to go after the auto company after everything's done. But remember, they didn't have enough insurance, so
it wouldn't be covered otherwise.
Right.
Exactly. As an attorney, right? So I know when attorneys start going after somebody for an auto accident or any of these kinds of accidents, first thing they're going to look at is, do they have insurance? Right? I had a client who had a dog bite. Right, so they're very. It wasn't really our fault. I was like, well, call your insurance company, and your insurance company will defend you in this, right?
Yes, they will.
So that's a big part of insurance, isn't it?
Well, on homeowners, you have personal liability. Most people don't know, and if you don't know how much liability you have, you should have at least $500,000. Very, very reasonable coverage. So yes, everybody does have liability, but you might have $100,000, which really doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, because again, if you have to go to court, $100,000 doesn't cost, for court costs, and then any kind of damages or things like that.
Exactly.
And so so again, when they're trying to sue you, that's what they're always looking to see if you have insurance. If you don't have insurance, they still might sue you, but then you're caught paying yourself.
Exactly. Right.
So what other? You said you use some. You have some homeowners insurance too, right? Auto. Was that now? You mentioned that was your client that had the
Business.
That
They
was
had
a
their
business
business insurance, yes.
that covered this.
It did cover it, yes.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about maybe some other people that you might have helped.
I'll tell you, people don't understand that in a lease or a contract, you have insurance requirements. So
I know down in my office, right? They call me every year and say, "Hey, we want that certificate of insurance. Prove that you have insurance still."
Right. Now, remember, there's all types of insurance. There's a lot of wording. I don't, insurance agents who ask for the lease or the contract, I mean, we're not attorneys, but we like to review with our client. And if we don't understand what it's really saying, we'll say, hey, go back to the landlord, go back to the attorney, and ask them to clarify it and get it in writing. A lot of things that happen is people sign the contract, do the work, then call us and say, I'm not going to get paid until I give them proof of insurance. We tell them, give us the insurance requirements. By the time we increase the insurance per the requirements, they made no money.
So make sure you have it before you go in.
Yes, always show your agent the requirements because you always, before you sign, you can always negotiate it. A lot of times it's just a template.
So they sign. So they're doing a job. They sign some because many of the customers want you to be covered. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
Make sure you have insurance.
Right.
And then they write in the contract some unbelievable insurance that
like $5 million it costs $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, and where they probably don't need that much, but they put
Right.
that in the contract.
Exactly.
So that's a good tip. That's another good tip. Two in this
That's
segment
two
alone.
really good tips
In
that
this
you guys
segment
would
alone.
need. Yeah, that's two really good tips that you're going to need when you're in a bind.
Now let's talk a little bit about auto insurance because you sell auto insurance,
Yes,
don't you?
business
now
and
you mentioned that here in Illinois you're required to, but that's just a minimal insurance, isn't it?
Well, there is minimum, and that gentleman that had the truck that ran into my client's building, they only had minimum, which is very low. So again, you should really look and see what liability limits you have for bodily injury and property damage.
Now that kind of reminds me, and I'm going to ask you about it because I had a question about uninsured motorist insurance. Talk a little bit about that. Why that's a big benefit?
Because if somebody hits you and they don't have enough insurance, then your insurance is for bodily injury. So if you get hurt and that person doesn't have enough insurance, your uninsured and uninsured motorist will pick up.
Your own insurance will pay for it then. But if you
Yes.
don't have that, then they don't pick it up.
Well, you have to have it, but
You do.
yes, it's part of the auto for uninsured and uninsured motorists. Yes.
I did not know
I did
that.
not know that either.
Yes.
There you go. There's
Yep.
3 tips right there that you got.
Because I know I have had clients who've been hurt. As I mentioned, the first thing that any attorney is going to do is ask, who's your insurance company? How much insurance do you have? Whether they'll take your case or not really depends on how much insurance you have. Because if most attorneys work on contingency, and so if they're not going to get paid, they're not going to take the case, right? So so one of the first things they're going to look at is what kind of insurance you have and how much does it cover.
Right, and most people don't even know how much they've got.
Yeah, that's true.
If I got a question to see how much I got, can I give you a call?
Yes, you can.
And how can I contact you?
847-432-1000. There's no obligation, no charge. We love to review anybody's insurance.
As a trusted professional, we always encourage people, if they have any questions, they should contact a professional.
Right.
And they could call you, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Any insurance questions, they should call you.
That's right. You can follow them at the Viti Companies on Facebook. That's right, at the Viti Companies. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting down with Anne Maria Viti-Welch with the Viti Companies. We're talking insurance. We're having a good time. I know insurance and a good time don't really go hand in hand, but they do. And
They do here.
They do here. Remember, Opem Tax Resolutions sponsored this show. 312-664-6649.